it's mind blowing. Okay, listen, it's 20 years ago and 26 years ago compared to Pantani, right? So a lot has changed, right? A lot has changed. The Pantani record today was broken by the first three. Also, Jonas and Remco broke that record.
Yeah.
And Lance's best time, the first 10 riders of today went faster than Lance. So I want to repeat that. It's a general. I mean, the level has gone up so much that they just keep going faster and faster. You see it at all the different speeds. Nowadays you see stages at 45, 46 kilometers per hour, which before were like, okay, 46, 47, that was like a top 10 of all time. That's just normal right now.
Hello and welcome to JB Squared. I'm JB Hager, joined by Johan Bruneel, and we are going to look at stage 15 at the 2024 Tour de France. We're not only going to break down today's stage, but some interesting things that Johan has dug up that has to do with some of these record climbs we're seeing. I think you're going to find it very, very interesting. And comparing it to 20 years ago or so, there's a lot of that going on right now. And it's very, very interesting. So we'll get to all of that in just a second. Before we do, thanks to our title sponsor, Ketone IQ. We spent last night going to dinner with Michael Brandt, the CEO, and a couple of his people. Had a good time hanging out with them. And then if you are curious about ketones, what they do and how they affect your body, check out The Move from earlier today. And Michael Brandt, the CEO, was on, and we can talk. And he talks about a lot of that. So if you're interested and want to learn more, that's a good source for it. I got to do my shot now. Keep motoring through the day. I know you've got a couple more shows to do, and and then we're doing a forward after this today. So I've got to keep rocking. There you go. 30% off your first subscription order if you want to try ketones. 30% off a free 6-pack. Use this link, ketone.com/themove. Okay, Johan, let's jump into it. We'll get to some of that record stuff in just a little bit, but let's go through. It was very similar to yesterday, except for the people in the breakaway. Well, some of the same people in the breakaway, but let's go back to how today unfolded first.
Yeah, I mean, it was on paper it was a harder stage than yesterday. Almost 1,000 meters more of climbing, 5 climbs, 4 Cat 1 climbs, a horse category climb, but especially the first 7 kilometers from kilometer 0 on uphill. Start at the bottom of Peresurde. We could see a bunch of attacks. Nobody really got away. But finally, after the Peresurde and a few other little climbs, we had a strong breakaway with, of course, in there some good climbers.
Yeah. Before you mention who's in the breakaway, I heard that 4 minutes into today's stage, Cavendish was off the back.
Yes.
So he and this. Did you see him go across the finish line?
They came in. I think. They calculated everything perfectly.
But they basically rode as a team. They was together all day. My point is, that's how hard this race started today.
Yeah. I mean, for sprinters, this is a nightmare. I mean, you're going to get dropped on the first climb. If you're in a day, if you have a day that you're a bit off, you're by yourself. I mean, these for these type of riders, it's really a battle to not be alone on that first climb, because then you don't know what's going to happen right after the climb, if it's going to slow down, if you're going to get in a group or anyway, bodies everywhere, but strong group of riders with like the typical suspects. Ben Healy was in there, Carapaz, Jai Hindley, Simon Yates, Enric Mas, not his usual thing, because usually he asks for GC, but not anymore. Tobias Johansson, so really strong riders. But what we saw is that for a change, Visma took over the role of UAE, and they started to pace. Visma paced the whole day. Mm-hmm. The whole day they paced. The break never got more than 3 minutes. I mean, I guess their tactic, or the thinking behind their tactic, was that they would set a hard pace to wear out their rivals, to kind of isolate Tadej Pogacar and have a high energy expenditure stage, which has worked in the past. The difference is that this year Visma is weakened because of all the mishaps they had and the bad luck, and they don't have the resources to do it. So I thought it was a bit risky with the team they have for the moment, and especially it's a 200-kilometer stage, and once you start to do this job as a team, that's it. You're there for the whole stage. Nobody's going to come and help you because you have a bunch of riders in the front. If there's 12 riders or 15 riders, at least there's 6 or 7 who are there on purpose to win the stage. So you have those teams coming and complain, right, to you, to the riders, but also in the caravan, between the cars. What are you doing? And then I guess, listen, Visma, they had to try, but was it really the best move? I don't think so because very early in the stage, there's still 50 or 60K to go, and Jonas only had 2 teammates left. It was Jorgensen and Wilco Kelderman, and he at least needed one guy for the bottom of Plateau de Bay. Plateau de Bay is still a long climb, 16K. So they did what they planned to do, but it was very, very difficult that it would work, especially having seen the performance of Pogacar yesterday. It's not like all of a sudden from one day to the other he's going to crack and perform so much less, right? So
I got the impression they were hoping Pogacar would overheat. It seemed like a very, very hot day. The riders were pretty cooked, and that could have very well happened with that high pace.
Yeah, usually it can happen, but a guy who's really in top shape, like Pogacar has now shown he is, it's very unlikely something's going to happen, even if it's super hot, even if it's a super hard stage, even if he's by himself. You have to ride him off the wheel, and that's going to be very difficult. So I applaud their courage. Now, was it the smartest thing to do? I don't think so. But then you could argue, okay, what else could they have done? Not much, right? Because as soon as you could say, okay, we let the stage win go, that would have been the case anyway. Because if they brought the group back, it was almost sure that Pogacar was going to win the stage and not Jonas, because Jonas needed to attack. So.
Do you think UAE was willing to let, at this point, are they willing to let these stage wins go?
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So that has to be incredibly frustrating for all these teams looking for a win.
Yeah.
Especially going into the last week.
The first day that UAE actually says, okay, for us, it's fine, the breakaway goes, then you have Visma chasing the whole day. And that breakaway, at the end, on the last climb, you have 5 riders. You have Enric Mas, Grand Tour stage winner, Grand Tour podium 2 times in the Vuelta. Jai Hindley, stage winner in the Tour, Grand Tour winner. Carapaz, Grand Tour stage winner in all 3, Giro winner. And then you have Laurens de Plus, who is like a super domestique in the mountains, and Tobias Johansson, ex-winner of the Tour de l'Avenir. So, these 5 guys were definitely going, with the 5 of them, with the intention to win the stage. They started Plateau de Bay with a little bit over 2 minutes, and then what I really want to point out is the amazing job that Matteo Jorgensen has done. He set a pace that put the hurt on anybody except Jonas and Tadej. Everybody else was hurting. Adam Yates was hurting big time. Almeida, 14 GC, got dropped. Mikel Landa was hurting. They were all hurting. So Jorgensen set a very strong pace from the bottom, and for a very, very long time. Which, the thing is, if you have one guy, that attack of Jonas has to come. If it's 16K, Matteo is not going to be able to do half of the climb at that pace by himself, right? He would have to slow down, and if he slows down, then it's not really very effective. So we saw Jonas attack with 10K to go. That's very long. I mean, 10K to go in Pado Bay, that's a long way to finish. I guess they were hoping that Tadej would probably have a bad moment. It has worked in the past, but not today. And I fear not for the rest of the tour.
It's remarkable how much of a gap Pogacar can put in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And he's, how many of those has he done now? Like, for sure, 3 of them I can recall. It's just, boom, here's an extra 20 seconds. Yeah. Here's another little gap.
I think today was the third time, and it's the worst for Jonas. He took 8 seconds in the last kilometer on the Galibier. He took 15 seconds. 10-15 yesterday on Pladade. Today he put 20 seconds in 1 kilometer when he went.
Plus a bonus.
No, on that first.
Oh, just that first surge.
No, he took over a minute at the end. But that first surge. So basically from 5 to go to 4 to go, he took 20 seconds, and there you could really see the difference compared to. The pace of Pogacar on the Galibier was fast. Jonas was, he lost that gap, but he maintained that same pace, right? Then yesterday, Jonas maintained more or less the same pace, at least visually. It looked very similar. I think today what really strikes me is that the visual impression of both of those speeds was very, very noticeable. You could see that Tadej was on a different speed. His leg speed was different, super high cadence. Jonas, good cadence also, but a little bit heavier gear. But the way they were actually, going forward, the speeds were different. And at the end, you could see, he takes over a minute in real time, plus the bonification. So I think it's like 104, 105.
Yeah, we have a question at the end of this show about their cadence. So we'll get into that comparison a little bit more at the end, because it's a very, very good question. And then obviously, if you're listening to this, you did not see it. Pogacar won. Did you see his post-race interview? I did. Yeah. Okay. Completely different man today.
Oh yeah. Different energy, different confidence,
all smiles. Like I was looked at it and I go, I don't think I've seen his teeth yet.
Yeah. He looks, he's not even thinking, he's not even talking about, we have to be careful. He said, we just need to stay together as a team. And basically he's not saying that, but he's saying it in between. Let's just bring it to Nice. Yeah. It's in his, I think in his motivation, in his mindset, it's done. And he just needs to be careful now how to manage. He has a more than 3-minute gap. And every single crucial stage, except that one stage where, he didn't really lose time. But, his plan didn't work out. But other than that, he has gained time every single time he tried for it. So
what are your thoughts on this, Johan? Because yesterday, Jonas said, tomorrow suits me better. Mm-hmm. It didn't work out that way. Because is he still think that if it's steeper and punchier, is that what he hopes gives him some kind of advantage?
I've tried to understand what he meant by that yesterday. Because today's stage was very similar than yesterday. It was longer, and it was mountains from start to finish. Yesterday was different. There was three big mountains in the second part, but it's still the Pyrenees. They're very similar climbs. Plateau de Bay. They're very similar climbs. They're steep. They're not super high altitude. I don't know if he meant the temperature, maybe that it would be hotter today. It was hotter, but it was not super hot. It was 28, 29, 30. It's not, that's not 36, 37. It's different. Yeah. So listen, they definitely had a plan, and they had to try. But I also think that if Jonas and Visma are realistic, they must know that this is going to be very, very difficult. Unless there's a bad day of Pogacar, which can happen, but it's not the same thing as last year, right? I mean, I just think Pogacar is on a different level.
All season, by the way,
since he started, he was maybe a bit too enthusiastic, a few stages in the Tour, but other than that, he's been dominating everything. So, and then on top of that, we can safely say that this is not a Jonas at 100%. He came to a very good level, but this is not the same Vingegaard as last year, right? Because we know the circumstances, so I think it's only logical.
I'm just going to throw this out there, like going back to your racing days, before you were a director. Like, do you recall a season where you were like, everything feels right? I'm on a team I enjoy. Everything's hitting on all cylinders. I'm healthy. There's like, because it's hard for all those stars to align, right?
Yeah.
Injury, just how you feel in general. Do you remember, like, man, that year I just felt great. Everything was good.
Yeah. I mean, personally, maybe 95. I had a great tour, and I had a great tour. I won a stage. I took the yellow jersey, and then I finished third in the Vuelta later on. So that was not bad, but it was not the whole season.
Right.
I was typically a rider. It took me a while. I needed until end of April, beginning of May to kind of get going. So
okay.
It's completely different. We came not in the season super skinny. We raced ourselves into form, right?
Yeah, which was common at that era. Yeah. I was just curious.
But yeah, I mean, it does happen that this is the year, and that year everything works fine. You have no injuries, no crashes, and everything seems to work well. And then often when you're on a team where that goes, success is contagious, and everything works well. But definitely for Tadej this year, it is amazing.
Since we're talking about Tadej's year as a whole, you put together some numbers on what he's already accomplished just this year.
Yeah.
How many wins he has.
Well, today was his 14th stage win in the Tour de France. 14. It was his 17th win of the season. And somebody made the calculation that he has a 38% winning rate so far. So more than a third. So 1 out of 3 races he's raced, he's started, he's won. And this includes 21 stages of the Giro and 15 stages of the Tour. So that's 36 races, of which the majority he has not won, right? Because this is his third one, and the Giro, I think, didn't he win 4 or 5? 5, I think. But anyway, the majority of those races he didn't win, and still he won 1 out of 3. That's just incredible for a rider who, I mean, there's a lot of races that either it's a breakaway or a bunch sprint, and he won't win, right? That's just incredible. But what we see, JB, is, I mean, today's performance. I've seen a lot of calculations on the internet and on social media. And to come back on what we discussed already yesterday or the day before of how fast they're going, and they keep going faster. But today's performance, it has been already now by several people who analyze the performance, has been the greatest climbing performance of all times. I mean, that's something. Just to give you a little background, and we have this picture here to show. He broke the record of Marco Pantani, who was until today the fastest rider up Plateau de Bay. I think that was in 98. So Marco Pantani was 43 minutes 28 seconds. He did not break the record. He destroyed it. Like literally 3.5 minutes faster. 3.5 minutes faster than the fastest ever time at Plateau de Bay. if you compare it with Lance, Lance won twice on Plateau de Bay. His fastest time was 45 minutes, 40 seconds. That's 5 minutes 40. 5 minutes, 40 seconds faster than Lance, almost 6 minutes. It's mind blowing. Okay, listen, it's 20 years ago and 26 years ago compared to Pantani, right? So a lot has changed, right? A lot has changed. And to come back on what we said before, the Pantani record today was broken by the first three. Also, Jonas and Remco broke that record.
Yeah.
And Lance's best time, the first 10 riders of today went faster than Lance. So I want to repeat that, it's a general, I mean, the level has gone up so much that they just keep going faster and faster. You see it at all the different speeds, in all the different categories, nowadays you see stages at 45, 46 kilometers per hour, which before were like, okay, 46, 47, that was like a top 10 of all time. That's just normal right now. So far in this tour, we had a new record on the stage 2 on San Luca, new record by Pogacar and Jonas. On the Galibier, with headwind, new record by Pogacar. On the Col du Pertouche, which is where Jonas was catching Tadej, new record by Jonas. On Plateau de Bay yesterday, new record by Tadej, and today, Plateau de Bay, new record by Pogacar. And we still have 1 week to go. So I think there's going to be at least 2 or 3 more new records because it's just going to keep going. If I have this stat here from, this is a really good Twitter account called Cycling Graphs. And they said Pogacar did 6.98, so 7 watts per kilo, for 39 minutes and 50 seconds. At sea level, this would translate into 7.27 watts per kilo. Best climbing performance ever. Jonas Vingegaard, despite losing 1 minute, 8 seconds, did the second greatest climbing performance of all times.
No, it's just mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing.
It is mind-blowing. Okay. You have some thoughts on Jonas and what he's been through. Having to do a speedy prep for the Tour de France.
Yeah.
Share with everybody what your thoughts are on one. It's already miraculous what he's accomplished, but it comes with a price, right?
Yeah. And I think today it starts to show, JB, and we are all getting caught up into this incredible story. Jonas going down so hard, terribly injured, maybe not making the start of the Tour, then making it to the Tour, and then bit by bit he shows that he is a surprisingly good level. Yeah, and so we all went into that hype of, oh wow, he's there, he's going to improve. Which I think. That's true to a certain point, because I think one thing that has improved incredibly for Jonas between stage 1 and stage 13 or stage 12 is his confidence. He started with doubts and he started to feel better and better and better. And obviously, his morale, the morale of the team, his confidence has improved tremendously. His physical form also a little bit. But then if you really think, and you stop thinking and you distance yourself a little bit from all this enthusiasm, you know that first you come into the competition, you kind of feel a lot better than you expected, you improve a little bit, but at some point it'll stop, because this is not a training camp. This is the Tour de France, where you have to go deep every single day. And the non-crucial days, the stages that are not time trials and not mountain stages, you go on the limit. So you're not in a training camp where you can decide, okay, I do 3 days of hard work, I take a recovery day. This is different, right? So I think that at some point, and maybe Jonas is there a little bit now, that his physical condition could go backwards a little bit. Because especially after he has worked so hard on what I call an accelerated plan to find his form. race against the clock to get ready. At some point, you get to a point where you kind of plateau a little bit, like you reach a limit and say, okay, now my body needs to kind of take a step back to assimilate, all the efforts I've done to kind of take it on board and take the next step. Typically that would include a little recovery period. That's not possible in the Tour de France.
Right.
I think that's what we're seeing with Jonas. He's going to stay at a good level, but he does not have that super punch that we use from him. Plus, he's up against Pogacar, who's on a different level. So I wrote down that Jonas built an express type of form on an unstable foundation. Usually, you have to have the foundation, and then you build your form on that, and that's not there. It can work, but usually it doesn't last for a long time. And so
what I'm hearing is he could crack.
Well, I don't think he's going to crack. I mean, he's smart enough, and they know how to manage their efforts. I mean, I don't think he'll crack, but what I saw today was a different speed, really different speed in both Pogacar, and I was surprised to see Pogacar attack with 5K to go. He didn't need to. So obviously, when he decided that, and also looking at all the interviews I've seen, it was not part of the plan. Their plan was just, to manage and control Jonas and attack at the end and take a bit of bonification. Now, Pogacar has felt that Jonas was pushing hard. Pogacar was kind of, okay, I'm not going to say comfortable, but he was okay in the wheel of Jonas. And when finally Jonas looks back, he goes. My first reaction said, "Why? Why are you doing this? Because 5K is long. Do it with 2.5K to go or something. Just don't take the risk." But he must have felt something that it's the same like when I said the other day when they were taking pulls, Jonas and Pogacar. Jonas was feeling that Tadej was empty. You feel this. You're so close. You're looking at his style and. So, I mean, I think it's only normal what happened. Jonas could fade away a little bit, but he's not going to crack. I don't think he's going to crack.
Okay. If he fades away significantly, it could open the door for Remco. It's possible. Bradley seems to think so.
I have doubts. Because I think from now on, what we might see is, at some point, Jonas and Visma are going to have to accept that that's their level, and that Tadej is a step above,
and protect that position.
They're gonna need to manage that, because if he keeps, I really fear. I mean, it's a great spectacle, but I fear that we're going to see a race for second, and that Pogacar is going to win another stage easily. Because if he goes, then Jonas is not even going to react. He's going to ride his own pace. And then usually what we've seen is that Remco can't follow that. Now, we'll see. I mean, for the moment, Remco is a little bit over 2 minutes behind Jonas, I guess. He's a great time trialist. The last day is a time trial. We'll see. I mean, I think the podium is sealed. These are the top three. Nobody else comes close to the podium. So.
Let me, I haven't heard anyone talk about this. Let me ask you if this is a psychological effect or it's a non-factor. So when your yellow jersey wearer is also the polka dot jersey wearer, which Pogacar is, they because of the sponsors, they want that jersey on somebody. So you loan it to the next person.
Yeah.
So if I'm Jonas, I don't want to have to wear a jersey on loan from my biggest rival.
He hates that jersey.
Right.
He hates that jersey.
No one's talked about that. I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Let me see the points. I mean, of course, today it's even. I mean, listen, it's the first three in the GC. Also, Pogacar 77 points, Jonas 58 points, and Remco 42 points. So those are the three. That's not going to change. It's over. It's over. That's not going to change anymore. So Jonas is stuck with that jersey. It's not,
right?
plus it's not really a jersey you want to wear if you're actually not winning it. And on top of that, if you have to wear it on behalf of your biggest rival, that's not fun.
No.
No.
Okay.
I mean, listen, at least he keeps it classy. He just wore the jersey. No polka dot shorts, no polka dot socks. Just
classy. Right. Right.
I like that. I like that.
Oh, if his team showed up, like all his support staff showed up with all the polka dot stuff, he'd have been like, no.
This is, but JB, this is something you could see from a smaller team, even if it's on loan.
Mm-hmm.
They would do that. Polka dot it out.
Yeah.
Because it's huge publicity, but obviously Visma and Jonas are used to something else. So yeah, that kind of. Listen, at least if everything stays like this, the last time trial, the top 3 riders are going to be in their non-team issued skin suits, which is fair.
That's a very good point. Yeah. Let me remind listeners, if they weren't listening in week 1, that UAE skin suit apparently can save, maybe a second per kilometer. And so that's a factor if they're all being equal.
But Visma has the same type of technology. Yeah. They all have super special skin suits, which are probably better quality in terms of aerodynamics than the Tour de France issued.
That's a very good point. No, but that's a very good.
I'm not saying that it's. I think it's Santini, the brand. I'm not saying. I mean, they're obviously providing their fastest possible fabric, but it's not their usual fabric that the guys are used to. So yeah.
No, that's an interesting point. It'll be a level playing field on the last day. That's very good. Any other top 10 shuffle, like kind of catching your eye?
Well, yeah. I mean, we saw, let's see, Mikel Landa jumps over Carlos Rodriguez. Carlos Rodriguez loses 1 spot. Amazing performance of Mikel Landa, actually, being the domestique for Remco and finishing 4th in the stage. Only a minute behind his leader. But, if you look at it, massive gaps, right? I mean, okay, Jonas is 1:08, and then Remco's almost 3 minutes. The third one, the fourth one is 4 minutes, and then the 5th and the 6th are almost 5 minutes down. Just today. Massive gaps. I mean, crazy. But no, I mean, we're going to see an interesting battle for the top 10. Derek G hangs on to his 9th place. Matteo Jorgensen lost 2 spots, which is, I think, normal. I mean, he's not here to do top 10. He's here to do a job for Jonas.
Oh, when he peeled off, he was blown.
Yeah. So we're going to see there, Ciccone, Derek G, Buitrago, and Felix Gall. Those 4 guys are going to battle it out for, places 8, 9, 10, 11.
I said something.
Top 10 in the Tour de France is something. It's an accomplishment for
sure
for a rider,
especially for some of these young guys.
Yeah.
I said something while we were watching. I said, would Healy be doing better if he wasn't having to go back and help Carapaz? And because he's an aggressive rider, but Sir Wiggins was like, he's like, no, Carapaz is gaining strength. He's going to have a good last week.
It looks like it. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. He rode himself into form in this Tour de France.
Yeah.
He's going to be in a lot of breakaways in the mountain stages.
Yeah. If these GC guys let them go one day.
He's going to be in the break. I mean, the question is, will the break make it to the finish? I mean, so one day it's going to have to happen,
Yeah.
Have to happen. And then, it's up to these guys like Enric Mas, like Jay Hindley, Simon Yates today tried it a few times. So we'll see.
Okay. I think that covers everything from today, unless you have anything else. And, we're going into.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. Going into a rest day and then
tomorrow. And then we have in theory, the last opportunity for the sprinters, which most likely will be a bunch sprint. I mean, I don't see why these teams would stay in the race if it's not if they let a breakaway go. But it's going to be a battle. I mean, you're going to have the work cut out.
So, but the sprinter teams will be doing a lot of the work tomorrow, I'm guessing.
The day after tomorrow.
A day after tomorrow. Sorry, rest day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I do have a real interesting question about Jonas and Pogacar coming up in their cadence. But let's do Ventum Trivia. We're giving away a brand new NS1 road bike at the end of this tour. You can enter every single day. Yeah. Yesterday's question was, you had to do some research or call some people, but which Ventum employee twice won the U.S. Pro Crit National Championship and was runner-up at the U.S. National Championship road race? That answer was Travis McCabe. Today's question, and you probably know the answer to this, but it's not what you would think. What city and country was Bradley Wiggins born? What city and country? You know that. I figured you would.
Yeah.
Send your answer into ventumracing.com/themove. You can enter every single day. And now comment first and then a question or two. Oh, by the way, 20% off Ventum bikes till the end of July. Okay. You can you can go online, build out your bike, pick your frame, your components, wheels, totally customize it and get 20% off using the code TheMove20 when you check out. Pretty simple. Here's a comment. Jonas was in the hospital 2 months ago and is in second place by minutes in the hardest race in the world. What an amazing race, but feel we missed out on a great competition between Remco and Primoz. Thanks for the great show. And I didn't clip your name. I am sorry. Sorry about that. Richard writes, wondering what shifting mode the pros whose bikes are on Dura-Ace equipped, do they use synchronous, semi-synchronous shifting, or manual mode? That's from Richard. I have no idea. I have that Dura-Ace electronic and it's in manual, and I've never even thought to change that.
I have two. I have one bike on Dura-Ace and one bike on SRAM. The one I have on Shimano, I have it semi, but it's just for comfort. I'm not going to bet money on it, but I'm pretty sure every single professional had it on manual. They want to decide themselves.
Yeah.
Will shift. Everybody knows. I mean, semi is good because, it doesn't let you go all the way up when you're on the big chain ring, and, it shifts for you to keep the chain in the middle somewhere, right? But experienced riders prefer manual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I prefer that with cars too, by the way.
Manual shifting.
Oh yeah, I need to buy. Oh yeah, wow. And it's going by the wayside. Even with high-end sports cars, paddle shifting. Come on. Here's another one. This is the one that I was telling you to hold on to the cadence conversation. I have a question for Johan. It's not a strategic question, but more technical. From all the recent footage of Tadej attacks and Jonas following him, we can see clearly a big difference in their cadence. Tadej's spinning it much faster than Jonas. Now we know their crank arm selection is very different. Jonas is on 172.5 and Tadej is on 165, but they're almost the same height, respectively, according to the internet. It looks like Tadej's high cadence played a big role in the attacks. What do you think about that? That is from Guy in Tel Aviv.
Yeah. Tadej has an incredible high cadence. He's on 165 since this year, or since the off season. He changed something that actually I had really trouble understanding it until somebody explained me the reason why they're doing it. Because usually, I was thinking old school, longer lever, more power. It's actually different, completely different, because it decreases the angle of between your torso and your hip. It opens the angle up more up. So basically, you are able to generate more power, and especially at a higher cadence. But if you look at Tadej's cadence, look, for example, I just opened his Strava from yesterday. He hasn't uploaded today yet, but over the whole race, over 4 hours, he did an average cadence of 94 RPM average, and it's so mathematical. I remember Strade Bianche. He won Strade Bianche in his first race, super hard race. Like with gravel sections, 96 RPM average. That's high for a road race. And you could see also today he had a higher cadence than Jonas. Jonas is a different kind. I mean, Jonas has a pretty high cadence also, but it is not as high as Tadej. I think it depends on the rider. For Tadej, it seems to work really, really well. You would say, if you have a super high cadence, you can maintain that effort for longer. When you're a bit overgeared, then you kind of push at, let's say, 85, 88 compared to 92, 93. You could say, okay, you can't maintain it so long, but
it's more fatigue over time too.
Yeah, well, but there's no theory. There's no ideal cadence. Unless it's really way too low. I mean, it's below 70, then that's ridiculous. But 85, 90, 95. It depends on the rider really, and how they train and what they feel most comfortable with.
Where does Remco fit in on that?
Oh yeah, high.
Pretty high cadence, yeah.
Yeah, he's up there with Tadej, if not higher. Yeah.
Interesting. Great question. Thank you.
I know who doesn't fit in there he's a bit off now, but Geraint Thomas is the opposite.
Big gears,
super low cadence. It works for him.
Yeah.
Roglic, super high cadence. Extremely high.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great question. And if you have a future question, send it in to the move at wedo.team. And enjoy your rest day. Although you'll be doing outcomes, right? There's going to be, it's fine. I want to get a really good ride in tomorrow. So I'll wake up early and go early. By the way, if you're not listening to Outcomes, you should. It's in the same podcast feed. We just do audio only, so we don't have it on YouTube. But I guess you got all these head-to-heads right today from your predictions yesterday.
But Spencer sent me the graph, and every single head-to-head we got it right. So
good job.
Good day yesterday.
Yeah. It's a really good show. If you're not listening to Johan and Spencer on Outcomes, you are missing out. Trust me. Cool. On that note, I'm going to let you go, and we'll talk on Tuesday.
Okay, JB. Thanks.